Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. I know, third video in a short span of time. You guys must be freaking out right now. Today, I want to talk about a system that we know and we hate, the Archmastery System. After making the last video, I got a few comments from multiple people being like, I really hate the Archmastery System, and Noah, you telling people to get Archmastery jewels kind of sucks because it kind of screws over everyone else. But I counter two things to that. The Archmastery System as is shouldn't be broken. It's just broken because KI is too lazy to fix it. I shouldn't have to, you're right, but I do have to because of how it works. The second thing, life and death need that pip, so really I only recommended they get Archmastery jewels, but that's besides the point. I just wanted to briefly mention that in the beginning because I think it was important and is kind of a precursor to this video, where I want to talk about the fact that the Archmastery System, despite being released a year and a half ago now, is still broken in Wizard101 and still doesn't work like a good system should. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So the Archmastery System was introduced in November of 2022 in the Novus update. Basically, if for some reason you're watching this and you haven't played the game in a year and a half, which I mean maybe someone out there, or if you're a newer player, let's go over Archmastery real quick, just a bare bones explanation. Now in Wizard101, there are different things called school pips. School pips work like a power pip, but they work for a specific school. So for example, if you have 3 fire school pips, that's 6 pips for a fire spell. So you'll be able to use something like Elephant. Now on top of that, KingsIsle changed it so that specific spells, mostly lore spells, all take a different school pip. Ninja Pigs here takes 4 pips and a myth school pip. So instead of it just being the regular amount of pips from before, you need that myth pip to be able to successfully cast it, and that is true with other spells as well, like such as Reindeer Knight, which requires 3 pips and an ice power pip, or Ship of Fools, which requires 1 death pip and 2 pips. You get my point. Basically, to sum it up, certain spells are limited to requiring it, but otherwise you can just use them normally. They added an option to every deck right here where you can select what pip you start with. So for example, I'm Myth, so I start with Fire because the new AoEs that they dropped require a pip of a different school, so I start with a fire pip and I get Drop Bear Fury. Voila, all is well. Now you may be asking, how does Archmastery exactly work beyond that? What are the in-depths of the system? Well, there is a new stat in the game called Archmastery Rating. You can see here, Archmastery Rating. You start gaining it at level 50, but you can gain it even earlier if you come to the jewel shop here and either buy a square or tier slot for literally any level you can see. So you can socket these as early as level 15, because I think that's when you unlock jewels in Wizard101. Which means technically you can use lore spells as early as level 15. So to overall summarize, any school can now use any different type of spell and even spells of their own by having Archmastery Rating and gaining pips of that specific type of school. This was a system that everyone, when it was initially added, thought it would be an interesting kind of facet to the game. Other side systems that they had added in the past, such as Shadow Pip Rating, which is probably what I would consider the most similar to this, had at least been interesting at some points. Shadow Pip Rating kind of hard fell off. That might even be another video to make in the future, is where did Shadow Pip Rating go? But people thought that it would at the very least be a semi-interesting addition. Now let's talk about how KingsIsle screwed up the entire system and why this system sucks and just about everyone currently hates it. So you may be thinking, right, Noah, this is all well and good. You gain Archmastery pips, awesome. Now, me, a Storm Wizard, I can always use Deer Knight like I've always for some reason wanted to, which, yes, you can do that. But let's talk about something I haven't mentioned yet, is that for some ungodly reason, how Archmastery Rating works is you gain a school pip based on other people's Archmastery Rating. Now this makes sense in PvP. Obviously the enemy has an Archmastery Rating, you have an Archmastery Rating, whoever has the higher one gains a school pip first. Okay, that makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is the fact that in PvE with other people on your team, you gain Archmastery pips based on them. So what that means is that, for example, let me just go show you an example real quick. All right, everyone, here we are, we're back. Now, let me introduce you to Noah Ghost Crown. This is my death, one of my favorite wizards. We love him, we know him. Some of you actually probably don't know him because I haven't used him in a video in a very long time, but this is my death wizard. My death wizard here I was gonna say, as you can see, has 219 Archmastery rating, but you can't see that because for some reason you can't see other people's Archmastery ratings in the Friends tab. So instead, I'm just gonna pull up a screenshot right here, as you can see, of my Death Wizard stat page. So here you are, as you can see, 219. My Myth Wizard, if you'll remember, has 191. Now, let's both enter a battle against Foul Gaze so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So, here we are. We've entered the battle. You'll notice that my Death gained an Ice Pip first round. Cool, cool. But you'll notice that my Myth, however, did not. If I hover down here, it says 87% to the next school pip. My rating, 191, is lower than the 219 of my Death Wizard. This means that I didn't gain a pip first round and my Death did because he has higher Archmastery rating. Now, first off, why is this a problem? Because some of you may see this and not right away get the problem. Well, this goes twofold. First off, for Life and Death, their AoEs, their 4-pip AoEs, compared to everyone else's, require a school pip. So Rat Spin requires 2 pips and a Life Power Pip. Ship of Fools requires a Death Power Pip and 2 pips. Every other school's 4-pip AoE does not. So this means that Humongo, Frog, Meteor Strike, Blizzard, whatever, gets to go first round. This means that if you are on a Death or a Life Wizard, if you don't socket any Archmastery jewels at all, you will never be able to hit first round with anyone that is a higher level than you or is also using Archmastery gear and or something that gives a different amount of Archmastery. I don't know if new Hoarder lore packs have anything with Archmastery. I'm sure there's something out there that gives a higher amount than what we currently have. If not, then there definitely will be in the future, and that kind of sucks. But the other problem is that the new cards, the Walrus spells, the new AoEs added to the game, like Drop Bear Fury and the other 6, also have this problem, where if you have different and incompatible Archmastery ratings, you will not be able to hit first round. Now, I will say, a huge thing to this is really impactful early game. Late game, it's not as impactful because everyone has a higher Archmastery stat and or not varying Archmasteries. If everyone has the same identical Archmastery rating, everyone gets a school pip first round. So, for example, when I said in the last video that Life and Death might want to use them, and people in the comments said that kind of sucks because everyone else is getting gypped, yes, correct. You're right. But Life and Death almost have to do this. Otherwise, if they don't, they're completely screwed out of a first round most of the time. Every other school is not, because everyone should be carrying in their attack deck both the new AoE and the old AoE, just in case you don't get an Archmastery pip. Now, let me just go on a quick little rant real quick, because I've kind of demonstrated the problem with this system. Somehow, despite the fact that many people have talked about this. I've talked about this in the past, at least on a few live streams, and probably even in a video on Archmastery, and many other people have complained about it. I've heard this complaint from many in the player base. We have vocalized our complaints. Somehow, this has still not been changed. After a year and a half, that is like 4 or 5 major updates to this game, it still hasn't been changed at all. As far as I know, the Archmastery system hasn't been touched since its release, which was, again, a year and a half ago. That is insane. I know that KingsIsle is like a quote-unquote smaller team, and this is a smaller game company, but the fact that it takes years for potentially something that is really bottlenecking a major player base. For example, Life and Death, 2 out of 7 of the major schools in this game are affected by this, then this should probably have been looked at, I don't know, maybe a year ago, or even just when it came out. You know, it's kind of crazy that no one sat there and thought, hey, maybe it's not a good idea to make this based on other players in PvE. All this does, the only thing that this does, is pit other players against each other in PvE, and the entire point of PvE is to work together as a team to get through the game. If I'm a Life or a Death and I'm questing through the game solo, I'm not gonna want to team up for other battles because I just know that I'm not gonna be able to do anything, or at least not very well. And this doesn't even count all the other schools and the lore spells they might want to use, because as a kid, I know I thought lore spells were really cool. I'm sure a lot of people are like, yeah, lore spells are awesome. Well, guess what? If you quest with any anyone that's a higher level than you, you're not going to be able to use that lore spell, specifically not nearly as efficiently. So now that I've gone on a quick rant, and I'm sorry for that, I'm sure someone out there is like, no, you're stressing me out, and I'm a little stressed out too. So let's decompress a little bit. Let's talk about how they can fix this. First off, untie it from the other players in battle. I don't know why they decided to do this, but it is literally the one thing that is destroying this entire system in PvE. So easy enough, just make it so that your Archmastery rating, say for the level, is scaled, so you need a certain amount to get that pip. So for example, say as a level 170, you need 200 Archmastery rating to get an Archmastery pip first round and get one every round or something like that, right? What this does is it turns it into an actual stat that has reason to be focused on beyond screwing over other players, and it also makes it so that life and death don't get completely screwed over. Another thing they could do is just leave the Archmastery rating system as is and just completely restrict it so that the stat is only meaningful in PvP. This would honestly probably be even better, because as it is, the Archmastery system is fine. The only thing that's wrong with it is the fact that it's attached to other people. So I think I've ranted enough. I think I got the gist of what I wanted to say out in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please, if a dev is watching this, please work on this. The fact that this is still in the game after a year and a half is just not acceptable. The fact that everyone is complaining about this, or at least everyone I've spoken to has a negative opinion on how it works, and it still hasn't been changed, is insane. I haven't heard a single other person go, yeah, that makes sense how it works currently. Not a single one. Maybe a dev has said that, and if they have said that, you need to kind of wake up and understand that what you're doing ain't working. So that's it for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, but otherwise drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and also join me if you want to support me financially. Otherwise, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Adios.